never been a wife, but that was by choice. And I've done lots of different things, lived in lots of places, enjoying Manhattan now, and fully intend on continuing to have fun.
How is New York? It's been a while since I've been there.
It's the best. It's every bit as exciting as you think it is.
Okay.
It's like somebody had a fever dream, this city. It's nonsense. It's messy and breathless. Oh, the only place maybe more breathlessly exciting is Hong Kong. And it's equal to that. There's so much to do. I have like a list of things I want to do and I can't get to it because it keeps getting longer. The dining is incredible and I'm quite a foodie. The sheer sharpness and intellect of people. I lived in LA for 24 years. I definitely miss the weather. LA weather's perfect for sure. Don't miss driving in traffic. And I don't miss the lack of intellect. People there are very good looking, very fit, but like they don't read. And New Yorkers, I have not met anybody stupid here. I don't think you could be. I don't think you could survive here if you were dumb. And that is a real pleasure. I'm a professor's kid. I went to Berkeley undergrad. I have an MBA. I like smart people. I'm kind of a nerd, and I am intellectually pretty rapid. I'm in Mensa and all this garbage. And so I like really intelligent people, and that this place is better. I like the people far better here than I did in LA. But yeah, the weather's worse for sure. So whatever, you can't have everything.
No, no, no. I've been to both. I've visited both. I haven't lived. I spent a lot of time visiting New York, but I've been to LA once.
Yeah.
I prefer the vibe in New York so much more. And you're right, like the people I found are cooler, but everyone was so good looking in LA. It reminded me of like Miami, even though Miami is like plastic surgery capital, right? So I was like, okay, this is pretty good place to live, even though LA is expensive, but I can't wait to be back into New York City.
Well, New York's even more expensive. At least Manhattan is. Um, but yeah, LA's second. So for sure, good looks are great. And yeah, everyone I know who moves to Miami or LA gets like 10 to 15% hotter. They just do. And so I'm assuming I will get 10% uglier moving here. I honestly don't care. I mean, I'm hot enough to model. They still call every day. Fine. Looks, yeah, I've been decent to look at, give or take, my whole life. I think it's helped me pay rent and buy food, sure. But people place too much value on it. Lucky for me, they do. I was able to survive off it, but I don't think it's that important. Now, that's easy to say when you're not ugly, but I will. I am aging. I'm 48 next month, and I love this age, but the sort of nubile young looks will fade. I honestly can't wait for the next chapter. I can't wait for me to be recognized for something other than my like the what I've capitalized on, my youth and fuckability, which is fine. But that chapter, I've sort of addressed that for a long time now. And I look forward to my old lady bug witch years. I want to be like an old lady on the Upper East Side with little dogs and lots of friends. I know I will be if that's what I want. I have a very easy time meeting people. And I kind of am interested in less focus on the exterior, which is the thing in Los Angeles. I'm not negging that. They look great, but there's a balance there. Places like Miami and LA, there is so much focus on the exterior to the lack of focus on the interior, whether that's sort of your integrity or maybe your intellect. New Yorkers are there's a no BS culture here. They're not rude, they just aren't fake. And after 20 in LA, I mean, the LA people have an interesting relationship to reality and the truth. And that's fine. But that does get exhausting after a while. And I think a well lived life is lived in different places anyway. I will most likely not live here the rest of my life because of family commitments. And that's fine too. But I wanted to check this chapter off 22 years ago, the first time I came to New York with a little bit of money, enough to really enjoy it a little more. I wanted to be here. I should have come then. It would have been more fun when I was young. I didn't. I was too scared. It's expensive and it's dog eat dog, man. People here are everyone here is the best at what they do, and this place will make you better at whatever you do, or it will eat you alive. And a lot of people can't make it here, and then they leave, tail between their legs, and that happens. It's New York is New York. Um, but I knew I wanted to at least live here for a while. And I did it. Finally, I took the bait. I was going to 2.5 years ago. I finally did it 1.5 years ago. And the only thing I wish is that I had done it sooner, but better late than never.
Yeah, I'm approaching my 40s. I'm 35,
Just getting started.
just getting started. And I look back on my 20s and I sometimes say, okay, which one did I enjoy more? So when I ask you now, which one did you enjoy more, your 20s, your 30s, or your 40s? Which decade was the best for you?
Every year is better. This year is better
Oh,
than every year before. I,
why?
well, largely it's freedom and autonomy, which has been my mast in the wind. Pretty much everything I've ever done, including the things I probably shouldn't have done. I I want freedom and autonomy. I want to live as full an expression of a human life as I can until I die. And that is not available to women in most of the world. It is, I'm very lucky to be American, that it's more available to American women than anybody else. Maybe Scandinavian women have it a little better than we do, but it's neck and neck. So I was able to be more free and more self-directed than most women get to be. I know from talking to my grandmothers, life was miserable for women for most of human history, and it still is in most places. Uh, but I, so that for me, I did not enjoy my young years because I basically had less power over my own life, my own decisions, what I could do. Some of that was financial, some of that was just naive, not being smart yet, not being wise yet. So I didn't, I, that some people really think that having lots of men want to fuck you, as is the case when you're 16, 18. I still get hit on every single time I go outside, even when I wear no makeup and baggy clothes. I literally try. It sounds arrogant, but that's the truth. So apparently there's guys who like old ladies. Who knew? But it's a different, they approach with far more respect now. They don't approach in such a predatory way. When I was 13 and being followed home by 35-year-old men who knew that I was not of age, and this happens to every teenage girl, all of them, ask anybody. Um, I did not like those years. I felt scared a lot of the time, and I don't feel scared anymore. And that makes life literally worth living. So, and my girlfriends in their 50s and 60s say it gets even better. So old women who have, I hate to say it, but who have no children and no husband, and if they have some money, are the happiest people on earth. They live the longest and they report the most happiness, according to studies. So, and I see that coming true for me so far. I mean, we'll see. I think a lot of it'll depend on how my health holds up as I become an old lady, and that's up to, some of me and some of God. But yeah, so far every year gets better.
I know for me, like most of the women I've dated have all been in their 40s. And I look back on my life and I'm wondering why exactly that is. Then I look at the females that are around me and they're all that age. And sometimes I wonder, I was like, okay, in my 20s, I couldn't get a date to save my life.
That's normal.
Right? It's normal, right? And then in my 30s, I'm like, okay, let me try to figure some of this out. And now I figured it out better than I did in my 20s. And I look at the women that I know that are in their 40s, and they're like you, right? They remember a time where they thought that a lot of sex was something that they wanted, whether they participated in that or they didn't. But what they began to realize was having a lot of sex with someone that they wanted to was different than them having a lot of sex just with any and everyone. I was like, that's kind of interesting because from a male perspective, we think that if a woman's attractive enough, she's doing it with everybody. But that's not necessarily true.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's an odd, if that's what men think of attractive women, then that's odd that they want attractive women because they sort of say that they don't like women who sleep around. But if you don't like women who sleep around, but you think that pretty women do sleep around, whether that's true or not, that's also not always true. But if, then you should chase ugly women.
Da da da.
And nobody wants to do that. Or not nobody, but I mean, was that old song? If you want to make happy for the rest of your life, may ever make a pretty woman your wife, was an old song. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I was never interested in sleeping with lots of people. Even as a sex worker, I had long relationships of many, many years. I was what you'd call a sugar baby. No shade to people who want to do some volume, but that just never interested me. I think I've had meaningless sex a few times with people I didn't care about. It's empty, it's worthless. I'd rather not. For me, the I don't need to think I don't necessarily always need to think I'm gonna marry the guy or whatever, but I do need them to care about me and I need to care about them for more than just the obvious reasons. Otherwise, what are you doing? Uh, and although I like sex, I'm not sex phobic. I'm not really driven by it. Um, I think also I don't worry about air. I mean, when you're a woman and you're halfway decent looking, sex is like air. It's available all the time, everywhere. You don't really have to think about it. So that's a very different reality than it usually is, especially for young men who don't really have a lot to offer women yet. Um, they want a lot of sex, or not always, and they don't really have a way to get it. I think that's not really true for women. And God's gift to us is that by the time not a lot of men want to fuck us, we don't care because we're 75 years old and it's not a big deal. So lucky for us, by the time we're not super chased after sexually, we are perfectly happy with that. So it's nicer than being a young man who tends to want a lot of that and not have access to it sometimes. So, but I mean, if once you're out of the mating thing, once you're out of like the production of children thing, the beauty is that you can just be with who you want because you love them, or you're having fun with them, or you want to fuck them or whatever, because you're not really concerning yourself with procreating. And so that frees up a lot of worry and you don't have to choose for all these other reasons that you do when you're thinking about kids. So there's one more reason that getting older is awesome.
Yeah, like you have like, I remember I was dating someone and she wasn't able to have children
Mhm,
because she got the word escapes me, hysterectomy.
mhm,
Yes. And it was an experience because you know that there isn't the possibility of getting pregnant.
mhm.
So it's literally like you have this free reign to do as much sexual things as you want. And she displayed that, right? Like when we were together, we enjoyed each other in that way. And you're very right, where it's like if someone says that, well, if I think pretty or attractive women have lots of sex, but deep down, I don't want someone that has a high body count, you're like, okay, where is the balance, or how does that make sense? Because then alternatively, you want someone that isn't as attractive and doesn't have as much as many partners, but you don't want that either, right? And you made a good point when you said that very young men want a lot of sex in general, but they're not able to get it because they're just not able to get it. But women, as they get older and once they reach a certain age, they're content. I've been there, I've done that. Now that I'm very selective, I'm at peace. If you don't chase me, that's perfectly fine. But there's going to be some days where I'm going to be outside with no makeup on and a hoodie. There's going to be that guy.
Yeah, it still happens because not everybody likes young women, but um not everybody likes young men, but there's 8 billion of us out there. Everything exists and you only need one who really loves you. You don't have to it's not it's and you should go where you're wanted, like, right? You kind of learn sort of early of who likes what kind of people like you and what don't. You should just, chase your own target market and don't worry about the rest. You only need one who really is into you. But for sure, like, yeah, that body count stuff, all that nonsense that's going on right now. Well, I think that's just people who are addicted to their anger. Like this ridiculous stuff on the internet now about like shaming women for sex, but yet everybody's chasing the hot ones. Like, I think, I've been alive long enough to see that some people are just kind of addicted to their rage. And it makes them feel better to be like it's women's fault, it's not my fault. Or women do that, it's men's fault, it's not my fault. I think that stuff sells a lot because it confirms, no, it's not your fault that no one loves you, it's these bitches' fault or whatever. um but the fact of the matter is, if the if nobody wants to date you, then the problem is you. It's either your looks or your personality or you're broke or usually, like, for every woman who likes rich guys, like a lot of these guys love to say that, well, they only like the rich guys. That's not true. I know tons of women who actually don't want a rich guy. They want somebody not rich because they feel safer if he's not, which is cool. Whatever. Or like there's not every guy likes like blondes or big boobs or whatever, insert variable. The fact of the matter is, I think it's important to be honest. I think the beauty of you don't really see older women running around being angry that 21-year-old men don't want them. Uh, what you do see when young men are angry that not everybody wants them, usually the problem is largely personality. Most people don't want to be around somebody who's an asshole. So, uh, whether you are tall or short, black, white, rich, poor, it's largely personality. And so, when if a man comes up to a woman and immediately asks her about her body count, whether her body count is 0 or 200, he has identified that he's an asshole. So it's over from the get-go because he just said to her, I'm here to judge you. And that's literally not love, right? Love is not judgmental. Love is kind. Corinthians, right? Love is patient. Love is kind. So if you introduce yourself to somebody as nice to meet you, I'm here to judge you, then you're finished from the start, right? So uh, people, I think, often create their own problems. I did very well in sex work, not because I was so particularly beautiful. I was pretty enough to model a little. I never made it to be Gigi Hadid. Most people don't. But frankly, the reason I did well is I'm nice. I'm nice. And that's the same thing that'll get you success in business or with your family or with your, it's it's not that complicated. It's just be nice. And maybe don't be too hideously ugly, but most of it, be nice. That's about it.
Yeah, I agree. I watched an interview of someone that was a sex worker, and she does OnlyFans more so now than anything else. Well, at the time. And what she said is most of her streams of income was her listening and being kind to the men she was interacting with. And then the person asked her, was like, what do you mean? You're not selling body parts? She's like, yeah, there's men that want that. They want the feet pics, they want the cleavage, they want the boobs, they want the ass. But what she was like, the way she explained it was that is not the majority. That's a small group of people that will spend a lot of money. She said that the regulars, the people that come, are the people that literally just want me to hear about their day.
Yeah.
They want me to be kind. They want me to be understanding. They want me to give them an ear because a lot of these men, I'm using the men, a lot of these men who reach out to her, they don't have a female that they can go to where they feel like they're being listened to, where they feel like they're being supported. And that's what she said. She's like, I'm getting the majority of my income from from the text messages back and forth, from the phone calls where I literally say a couple of words and they just tell me my day was difficult. Oh my God, I was this, I was that. And it's interesting that you said that because I know that you've had experience as a sex worker and you mentioned being kind. Is
Mhm.
that something that you saw as well, where it's more so more of that versus what a lot of people think, where we're just sending all these nudes out to the world?
Of course it is. I mean, that's you could be the most beautiful woman on earth and you're not going to have success if you're not nice. No one does business in any industry of any kind with people that are not nice. If you go to get a Starbucks and the person who makes your coffee is completely awful to you, you're not going back. It doesn't matter what you sell or what you buy. It's about being nice. So of course it is. Yeah. So I think sex work in some parts of it, it's not a monolith. There's lots of different kinds of sex work, but a lot of it should be renamed the attention economy because it's attention. There's people now that have texting packages where it's this many texts per day, per week, per month, because people just want attention. And why would they pay for that? Why don't they have friends? Well, because when you monetize it, when you pay somebody, you basically get better service. It's on demand, right? The person will be nicer to you because they want the money. Yeah, that's called a job. When you do your job, you try to do it a little better because you want to make money. And so these men who can't find a woman to be that nice to them, like the OnlyFans girl, well, they might have an awkward personality. The things they talk about might not be interesting. They might be sitting at home gaming all day and they're not very good with other people. So they can't get somebody to be equally nice to them without paying because a woman who's not being paid is going to be like, you're not fun. I don't like you. Bye. So what should they do? Yeah, they should also work on their social skills so that maybe someday they could get somebody for free. Often sex workers are a transition. A guy can see them, learn how to date, learn how to be a little more normal at dinner, not be such a weirdo, And then he can have more confidence because he's like, oh, I've been around beautiful women. They're just human beings too. They might look a little intimidating, but like I've seen her snore. She's not scary. It's just a person who happens to have a nice face or body or whatever. So it is often a stepping stone to learn social skills that for whatever reason weren't learned. Some cultures, like that have arranged marriages and things, the men don't meet a lot of women. They don't know how. And if they immigrate to America where there's women everywhere and they're trying to date, it's a very different thing than what they might have grown up with. So we see that a lot with cultural differences in men's exposure to hot chicks, or even not hot chicks, just chicks in general. I think gaming has really made men worse at the social skill thing. They get the headset on and they troll each other. They don't see a real person. They don't have good table manners. They don't know how to go to dinner and like seduce a woman and be romantic, pull the chair out, open the door, all the lovely things that women like. They don't know how to do that anymore. They are sometimes too passive where they ask a woman out and they ask her what she wants to do and where she wants to go. Well, women want you to, 7:30, I made a reservation for here. Your Uber will be here at 7. Wear a black dress. Can't wait to see you. And, be a man. And so sometimes that's why they are lonely, is they don't know how to date. Some of that's the internet, some of that's can be cultural, it can be lots of things. Autism, so anxiety, whatever. So I think sex workers and even OnlyFans virtually, but I think in-person sex work is better because you go out in public, you go to a restaurant, you learn how to be a normal human being. And those skills are transferable. Some of these people, they will learn social skills that will help them out in the office, with the workplace. I mean, I know that I'm in my late 40s, but we used to know how to like touch grass, as the kids say. And I do prefer older men because they still are totally normal